Welcome to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping how enterprises build AI systems across Europe. We're talking about Agentic AI and multi-agent orchestration, and how organizations, especially in growing tech hubs like Utrecht, are navigating this frontier while staying compliant with the EUAI Act. Sam, this is huge right now, right?
Absolutely. What's striking is that Agentic AI has moved from interesting research project to we need this operational by 2026. We're not talking about chatbots anymore. These are autonomous systems making real business decisions, and the regulatory environment is tightening simultaneously, which creates both challenge and opportunity for organizations willing to get ahead of it.
So let's ground this. When we say Agentic AI, what exactly separates that from the generative AI tools everyone's already using? Is it just more autonomous?
It's deeper than that. Traditional generative AI waits for a prompt. You ask ChatGPT something, it responds. Agentic systems reason autonomously, break complex problems into steps, call external tools like APIs or databases, and iterate based on outcomes. Think invoice processing. An agentic system doesn't just summarize an invoice, it extracts data, validates it against supplier records, flags discrepancies, and routes it appropriately, all without asking for confirmation at each step. That's the shift.
That's a meaningful distinction. And the data backs it up. We're seeing 75% of enterprises planning to deploy autonomous agents by 2026. What's driving that urgency?
Cost and velocity. Organizations running manual knowledge-intensive workflows, logistics, financial operations, customer service, see potential 30 to 45% cost reductions when they automate with agents. But it's not just economics. Agents can process information at machine speed without fatigue. For supply chain optimization or predictive customer engagement, that's transformative. Kinsey projects $2.3 trillion in value creation across European enterprises by 2028, so the ROI thesis is real.
That's compelling, but here's where regulatory reality hits. The EUAI Act is tightening its grip in 2026. What happens if you're building agentic systems and you're not thinking about compliance from day one?
You're taking on massive risk. If your agent is making financial decisions, hiring recommendations, or healthcare diagnostics, it's classified as high risk. That means mandatory impact assessments, bias audits, transparent documentation of how it was trained, and continuous monitoring. Capgemini reported that 62% of enterprises lack documented governance frameworks for production AI systems. That's a ticking time bomb when enforcement kicks in.
So organizations that build compliance into their architecture from the start have a real advantage?
Exactly. And it's not just avoiding penalties. Enterprises that embed AI governance up front actually deploy faster and build customer trust. They understand their system's behavior, can explain decisions, and have audit trails. That's competitive differentiation. Utrecht organizations doing this now gain an 18-month advantage over peers playing catch-up in 2025 or 2026.
That's fascinating. Governance as accelerant, not obstacle. Let's talk architecture then. How do you actually build these multi-agent systems at scale?
The pattern gaining traction is agent mesh architecture, inspired by service mesh patterns. Imagine specialized agents. One handles document processing, another manages scheduling, a third handles compliance review. Each owns its domain. A central orchestration layer routes requests, manages dependencies, and resolves conflicts when agents have competing priorities. It's elegant because you can add, remove, or upgrade agents without destabilizing the whole system.
So each agent is like a specialist on a team, and there's a coordinator keeping everyone aligned?
Precisely. And crucially, the architecture includes safety mechanisms. You need clear boundaries, agents operating within defined compliance and business constraints, not flying blind. The orchestration layer enforces those. You're also building in human oversight checkpoints. For high-stakes decisions, an agent flags findings for human review before action. That's mandatory for high-risk applications anyway, but it's also smart design.
What about the practical deployment side? If I'm an enterprise in Utrecht right now, Where do I start?
Start with a clear assessment. What workflows are genuinely candidates for agentic automation? Not everything needs autonomous agents. You're looking for repetitive, multi-step, knowledge-intensive processes. Invoice processing, purchase order matching, lead qualification. Those light up agentic solutions. Then map your data. Agents need clean, accessible data to reason over. Finally, design your governance framework in parallel. Who reviews agent decisions? How do you audit outcomes? What's your bias testing protocol? These questions should shape your technical architecture, not be bolted on later.
So the governance isn't a checkbox exercise, it's baked into the technical design?
Absolutely. If you're designing an agent to make hiring recommendations, your system needs to log decision rationales, flag potential bias patterns, and enable hiring teams to challenge recommendations with explanations. That's technical infrastructure, not compliance theater. The EUAI Act requires it, yes, but it's also how you build trust internally and externally.
Let's talk cost for a moment. Multi-agent systems sound sophisticated. Are they expensive to build and run?
Initial setup requires thoughtful design and tooling, sure, but operational costs scale well if you architect for efficiency. You're not running a separate LLM for each agent. They share underlying models. Your orchestration layer uses lightweight decision logic, not massive compute. And the ROI typically shows in 6-12 months as manual work evaporates. Where organizations go wrong is building without cost discipline, agents calling APIs inefficiently, running unnecessary evaluations, generating redundant logs. That's where cost optimization strategies matter.
What's an example of effective cost optimization?
Catching agent responses for similar queries, batching API calls rather than firing them individually, using smaller models for routing decisions before invoking expensive models for reasoning. You're also continuously evaluating agent performance, retire agents or patterns that don't generate value. Think of it like fleet management. You wouldn't run 10 trucks if 5 do the work. You'd optimize routes and consolidate loads, same principle.
That makes sense. As we wrap up, what's the biggest misconception about agentic AI you're seeing?
That it's a monolith. Organizations think agentic AI means one superintelligent system making all decisions autonomously. Reality is messier and smarter, specialized agents collaborating within guardrails, with humans in the loop for high-stakes choices. It's distributed intelligence, not AGI. Another misconception, that regulation slows you down. The opposite is true if you engage with it thoughtfully. Organizations that understand the EUAI Act's risk-tiered framework position themselves as market leaders, not laggards.
Sam, final question. If someone's listening and they're responsible for AI strategy at their organization, what's the one thing they should do in the next 30 days?
Audit your top 5 operational bottlenecks, the processes that consume resources, require expertise, and generate costly errors. Then ask, could an agentic system handle this? And if yes, what governance would it need? That intersection of operational pain and regulatory clarity is your starting point. Don't boil the ocean. Start focused, build defensibly, and scale.
That's actionable and smart. Sam, thanks for walking us through this. Listeners, if you want the full deep dive, real data, case studies, production deployment strategies, head to etherlink.ai and find the complete article on agentic AI and multi-agent orchestration. You'll get the architectural patterns, EUAI Act compliance details, and implementation frameworks we've touched on here. Until next time, keep building intelligently. This is EtherLink AI Insights.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation.